you worked so hard and overcame so much that like everything of my being has to go into this. I used to dream to not get DNPs. Like I used to get just as many DNPs as minutes played sometimes. Or like, I remember after we lost to Shea in the conference finals, I'm talking to him in the hallway and he said, yo, like when you get the chance, just do things differently.
There are certain NBA players that everybody knows. The MVPs, the All-Stars, the guys whose highlights flood social media every single night. And then there are players like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, a player that casual fans might barely recognize. But if you asked NBA coaches which player they'd love to have on their team, his name would come up a lot more than you'd expect. Because while everyone else is chasing highlights, Nickeil has spent his entire career chasing something else, winning. And somehow, that approach took him from a player who was barely surviving in the NBA to the league's most improved player. Today, I want to explain how that happened. To understand Nickeil's rise, you have to go back to 2019. Coming out of Virginia Tech, he looked like one of the most intriguing guards in the draft. At 6'5", he had great size. He could handle the basketball, shoot from deep, create offense, and defend multiple positions. The New Orleans Pelicans believed in that potential.
The Brooklyn Nets select Nickeil Alexander-Walker from Toronto and Virginia Tech.
Talent alone doesn't guarantee success, especially in the NBA. During his first few seasons, Nickeil never had a consistent role. One night he'd play over 20 minutes. The next, he'd barely leave the bench. Sometimes he was asked to run the offense. Other nights, he stood in the corner waiting for touches. It's almost impossible for a young player to develop that way. Instead of building confidence, he spent most of his time simply trying to stay in the league. Eventually, New Orleans moved on. He was traded to Utah. But things didn't suddenly get easier. The flashes were still there. You could still see the talent, but consistency was missing. And for a while, it felt like Nickeil Alexander-Walker might become another talented first-round pick who never found his place. Then, everything changed. Not because he suddenly became more athletic, not because he learned some unstoppable offensive move. He finally found the right situation. When Minnesota acquired him, they didn't ask him to become a star. They asked him to defend, shoot open threes, and play winning basketball. Sometimes, that's all a player needs, a role they can fully embrace. Instead of trying to prove he could do everything, Nickeil focused on becoming elite at a few specific things. The first thing that jumps out when you watch Nickeil play is his defense. Defense is one of the hardest things to appreciate from highlights alone. Highlights don't show someone fighting through 4 screens in a single possession. They don't show perfect rotations, or forcing an all-star into taking a contested jumper. But NBA coaches notice those plays. Winning teams notice those plays. And that's why Nickeil earns so much respect around the league. He's become one of the NBA's best perimeter defenders. And one thing separates him from a lot of defenders. He doesn't gamble. So many defenders chase steals, they jump passing lanes, reach unnecessarily, or leave their assignment trying to make a highlight play. Nickeil almost never does that. Instead, he stays in front. He trusts the system. He forces difficult shots. He understands that great defense isn't always about getting the steal. Sometimes, it's simply making life miserable for the guy you're guarding. That kind of discipline doesn't always show up in the box score, but it wins basketball games. And then, his offense caught up. Early in his career, his jumper came and went. Some nights, he looked automatic. Other nights, not so much. But through repetition, he became one of the league's most reliable three-point shooters. Over his final years in Minnesota, he shot nearly 39% from 3. That's exactly what every contender wants. A player who can defend at a high level and punish defenses for leaving him open, which is exactly why Atlanta wanted him. In the summer of 2025, the Hawks acquired Nickeil in a sign-in trade. They weren't expecting him to become a superstar. They wanted an elite role player, someone who could defend, space the floor, and make smart decisions. But nobody saw what happened next. After Atlanta eventually moved on from Trae Young, everything changed. For the first time in his NBA career, Nickeil wasn't just filling a role. He was being asked to help lead an offense, and he answered the challenge. Last season, he averaged 20.8 points per game, more than double the 9.4 points he averaged the year before. He shot 39.9% from 3. made an incredible 251 three-pointers, the most in Hawks franchise history. And by the end of the season, he was named the NBA's most improved player. Think about that for a second. Just a few years earlier, people wondered if he'd ever become more than a bench player. Now, he was one of the league's biggest breakout stars. That's not just improvement, that's one of the best career turnarounds we've seen in recent memory. But what makes Nickeil so valuable is that his scoring never came at the expense of everything else. He still defended at an elite level. He still made quick decisions. He still moved without the basketball. He still made the extra pass. He still accepted the toughest defensive assignments. That's incredibly rare. A lot of players become better scorers, and their defense suffers. Nickeil somehow improved both. That's why coaches love him, because they know exactly what they're getting every single night. Effort, discipline, winning basketball. There's another part of his game that doesn't get talked about enough. Versatility. Need another ball handler? He can do it. Need someone to guard the opposing star? No problem. Need a spot-up shooter? He's already proven he can knock down nearly 40% of his threes. Need someone who doesn't need the ball to impact the game? That's been his entire career. Players like that make coaches' lives so much easier, because they fit with almost anyone. Superstars don't have to adjust to Nickeil. Nickeil adjusts to everyone else. And that's one of the hardest skills to find in today's NBA. I also think Nickeil's journey says something important about player development. Not every player becomes a superstar the moment they're drafted. Some careers take time. Some players simply need the right opportunity. Nickeil never stopped working. Even when his minutes disappeared. Even when teams gave up on him. Even when people stopped talking about him. He kept improving. One skill at a time. One season at a time. Until eventually, the rest of the league had no choice but to notice. If you're trying to build a championship team, there's a reason players like Nickeil Alexander-Walker are always in demand. They defend. They make smart decisions. They put winning ahead of personal statistics. And now, after proving he can also score more than 20 points a game, he's become much more than an elite role player. He's become a star hiding in plain sight. He'll never be the face of the NBA. Maybe he'll never lead jersey sales. But if your goal is winning basketball games, there aren't many players you'd rather have. Because while everyone else is arguing about the biggest superstars in basketball, Nickeil Alexander-Walker just keeps proving that winning isn't always about who gets the most attention. Sometimes, it's about who does everything else. If you enjoyed this video, let me know which underrated NBA player you think deserves more attention. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you enjoy basketball content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.